Is it? There we go. I'm gonna say it's not saying I'm on here yet. So I'm assuming we all read this, right? Um, uh, wrong discussion sheet. Sorry. There's more than one this week. So, what do y'all think were the positive results of the pilot program? Some of the positive points that came out of the program.
I'm thinking. Sorry. Going back in my mind. I read it a little while ago, and I'm pulling it up.
Did you get too much sleep? Did y'all lose an hour or gain an hour this week?
I just read it a couple days ago. I should have looked over it again. But so positive things that came out of it. Well, I know they said some people like the mentors felt like it was positive for them as well because what did they say? I guess it made them more excited about their jobs and the people that got mentored, obviously, I mean, it was a positive for them. It said several of them got promoted or
Yeah. Yeah, a large number of mentees got promoted.
Yeah.
One to me was that one of the mentors, when she saw one of the mentees going back to school and encouraged her to go to school, it was a little bit both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Hey, I have a cheat sheet in front of me, too. And I only read it like an hour ago.
I have two classes and they're kind of blending together a lot. So I'm like, okay, this class or that class? I don't know.
Is you taking what, healthcare leadership or something like that?
I'm doing healthcare administration, but I can't remember what my other class is called, but it's
I've taken that class and I'm with you. I read this and it pops, all the other things from that class pop in my head when I'm reading it. So another one they came up with, they said the employees, it made them feel more loyal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It talked about how some of them were thinking about going outside of the company, like looking for a different job, but then they saw new opportunities within the company. So yeah.
Very good. That's almost word for word second on my list here.
Yeah, which is good because like what we're talking about in this next doohickey is like motivation is a part of everything you do. If you don't have motivation in a job, I'm trying to remember where I saw it, but there's a study that's like
I thought it was just a couple of weeks ago that we had that talk by Brother Bednar.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, someone asked him, how do you keep continuing motivation? Right?
Yeah.
And I loved it. He says, you're not going to like my answer. He said, motivation actually comes from inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each person. And I'm like, oh man, I've never really thought of it like that, but it's true. I mean, someone can motivate you for a little while.
Yeah.
And it's like with anything, like when you go to Weight Watchers or something, it's like they tell us to come up with a why that's better than just, I want to fit into a dress for a wedding or a graduation. Because that's not going to last you.
Right. And it's like there's a relation between like how much you're getting paid and what you're willing to do. And that's just one motivation of many. And if you're getting paid a lot of money to do something that you hate, you're more willing to stay in a bad job or in a situation where you don't like because you're getting paid enough. But once you reach that threshold of you're like, okay, I'm not getting paid enough to do this garbage. So it's like, but that's just, like I said, one motivation of many, but it's in all aspects of working.
Feeling needed in an organization is much more.
Yeah, that's another good one.
A much stronger motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
When and like they were saying, loyalty.
Yeah, it's longer lasting.
When you feel like, and you're feeling like your employer respects you and values your contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think some of them were, and some of them were saying, it made them feel more valued that this program was established, because some of them had been there. I was surprised that they'd been there 18 or 22 years. They said they had to be there a minimum of a year before they could be a part of the program. Mm-hmm. To find some that they were having people that had been there much longer that were in the program. You would thought they would have been the mentors, not the mentees.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of nice. I think we covered that too. The list of the reason, the positive, why the program was why the program, what were some of the positives in the program that caused its initial success.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they provided some educational opportunities in the program, didn't they? They had speakers coming in and like,
yeah,
right.
Support, like one of the main headings is like support from senior management. So they had like upper management say like, here's where you can be and set goals and things like that, and show them like where they can shoot for, as well as like
Rubenstein also is it a her?
Yeah.
But in personal involvement and encouraged the mentees and the mentors themselves to come up with their own like luncheons and things to where they talked among themselves and shared experiences too, I think.
Yeah.
And they were also talking about one of the things that made it positive was it was voluntary, because like we were saying about motivation, when you're forced to be somewhere, it doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes it does. I liked what we studied earlier this week about training, and when that if you can make it fun, that people are, even if they go grudgingly, at least if you make it fun, they're a little more participatory, right?
And you retain more. I retain more when it's fun, at least.
Yes. Anybody want to make my anatomy class more fun? And then they were talking about I was surprised how much time they took to match the mentors and the mentees. You know, because a lot of programs, who wants to be a mentor and wants to be and they put the mentors up front, kind of like a bad junior prom or dance, like right? Where you're trying to get the girls and the boys together, you know? Mm-hmm. Well, pick somebody.
Well, one thing I found interesting was when they said that they put somebody that was like, was it 2 pay grades above the person they were mentoring or something. So it's like somebody in a position that you could aspire to. And I think that
and I think it was also too someone that wouldn't be as threatened by you.
Yeah.
I don't want to mentor you because you might take my place.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought of that.
You know what I mean? That goes on a lot out in the workforce, unfortunately. Been the victim of that before. I'm not helping you. You'll take my job. Which is the opposite of what she's learning in her other class. You should always want the people below you to do better, because it makes the company better. So, why were why do you think the results were successful? And would they work in another organization outside of a bank?
I think it could be applied to another organization. I mean, generally the principles are the same.
I was going to say, as long as there's positions that you can aspire to, like promotions, like if you're just working like a counter job and there's no possible way to, move up, then it probably wouldn't work. But as long as there is like room to improve and there's promotions being offered, then I think it could work in other places.
It's like when you were talking, one popped in my head. Those stupid call centers that people get stuck in.
Yeah.
What's the best they can hope for? A manager over several people?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was interesting, the one lady who had been there 20-something or 18 years, and she'd gone and got her degree, but then she couldn't see using her degree in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Because she didn't. I think that was interesting, too, that the mentoring program wasn't just about helping each other grow, the ones below them to grow, but for them to learn more about the bank as an organization beyond their little area expertise, so that they could see that they could be used in other areas. I think sometimes we get pigeonholed and we forget that, maybe you can transition to a different part of the organization.
Yeah.
Well, I think even just understanding the other part of the organization enables you to do your job better.
Yes. That was one thing that I always loved in the military. Everyone always thought that they'd look at me and go, doesn't it get boring being administration? And I'm like, I loved it because it allowed me to see different parts of the military and how they work together. The planes don't take off without supply. The planes don't stay on the air without the radar guys and the people who do the software to make the radar work,
Yeah.
So, it was, you know, where if you're a pilot, you're only a pilot. I mean, I've had a few pilots that got into Intel and realized, I never realized how much my life depended on Intel, you know, until I started working them and what they had to go through to give me the information to let me know where things were. Because I'm going 500 miles an hour. I don't pay any attention to what's going on in the ground. How does mentoring help employees with career development?
Sorry, what did you say? You kind of
How does mentoring help employees with career development?
Well, I think we kind of talked about that a little bit, you know, the encouraging them to go back to school and helping them see different opportunities within the institution, see how to, like, what they need to do to get promoted. You know, seeing what the other person did that worked.
Do you think mentoring always has to be a formal affair, or can it be informal?
I think it can be informal. I feel like I've had informal people that have mentored me. Like, it's not like I went up and asked them, but, like, you know, they were always willing to talk to me and, like, share what they did. And it was just, you know, it was just conversation. It was just talking, but I felt like they were a mentor to me.
Right. Because they were saying, one of the mentors said that they asked her why she did it. And she said, even though she wasn't formally mentored, she knew through her, 10 or 15 years at the company, that she had people who had helped her. She felt she was paying back. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's something that, no offense to you younger people, but I don't think they inspire that enough as they used to. That's your job as you get older, is to help those behind you.
No, I think that's a good point, because then that also, you're basically taking your knowledge and the experiences that you've learned, and it's going nowhere. And so it's like, if you're not turning around and helping improve the people to come, then it's like, no wonder it's falling apart.
Yeah.
Like, even like the government, you can look at the government and it's like, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people, especially young people, who just don't vote. They don't register to vote. They don't, I know this is kind of
they don't see
not a job, but necessarily, but it's the country, and it should be our job to, like, turn around and encourage people that this is why it's important to vote. This is why it's important.
I've wondered, do they even teach civics in school anymore?
I had social studies and things like that in American government classes, and
but they don't emphasize, like, when we were growing up, we go, I don't want to grow up and go to work. And we're like, but it's your duty. It's your job to grow up and go to work and pay taxes, to pay for the people behind you to go to school, and the old people to be taken care of. That's what we were told.
It's a good thing to learn.
Hey, at least you knew why you were suffering, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Part 3, let's see, analyze the program. Would a less formal mentoring program been even better, where the mentees are free to find whatever mentor they wanted? I think we kind of covered that. Or is it better when the company made it, you think, mandatory and stuff?
I think it's good to be mandatory, because you might have an idea of, like, this is what I want to improve on, and this is the only thing I want to improve on. But if you're kind of forced to go with somebody else, you're like, oh, I'm seeing a whole new aspect that I didn't even think about before. So, I mean, it could go either way. It could be good for.
I think it was good too that it's like someone wanted to participate, and remember their supervisor was giving them a hard time, and they had some protection too. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it also, being formal, it helps spread the word throughout the company.
Yeah.
So. She's getting help.
Sorry, my 2-year-old is unplugging my phone. He's being special.
Hey, better you than me. That's all I can say. Been there, done that. Moving forward and wrapping up, it says, why do you think at first, during the second, remember they started and then about 6 months in, they tried to do a second round, that they got less applicants?
Well, it says they didn't advertise as much, so I'm just wondering if
that's what I wondered, if part of it was they didn't advertise.
Yeah. But I think on top of that, it could have just been that, like, people might have thought, well, I got what I wanted out of it, and I'm not going to get any more out of it than I already did. So I don't know.
And like every program, the first go round is always everybody's in.
Yeah.
You know, like when I did the pathway program back in 2012, there was like over 150 participants in San Antonio. You know what I mean? So that took in the initial a lot of people who wanted to do it. And I'm sure since then, you know, there's less people each year. You know, there's not as many because all the, you know, there were so many the first time that there's less. You know what I mean? I mean, I was surprised that they turned people down on the first go round, that they didn't just try to find up more mentors or ask somebody to handle more than one, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were almost evenly matched number wise, but they cut it almost in half. So, and another reason I was wondering is when you noticed that in part A, it talked about some of the people were going, yeah, the company's always big about starting something and then they never follow through or they never finish.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were waiting to see if this was really going to last beyond the first year.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't want to participate because they didn't see where it was going to go anywhere or not.
Yeah.
Do you think they should expand it or should they keep it smaller?
I personally like it. I think it should be smaller, like they have it. I think it's more manageable. It's more personal. It's just,
yeah.
I don't know. If it gets too big, you have too many regulations and rules, and like because you got to manage.
Yeah, I was surprised that they let the Rubenstein, that they let her actually basically quit her other duties, and this is all she runs is the mentoring program now.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think they would go, oh, then this is becoming too big a deal. So, but it shows the bank's commitment though by allowing her to do that too, though.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. And I think maybe y'all read part 2 to see that it did actually continue, which was nice because I was afraid it was going to die. When you're reading this, kind of like, is it going to last? Are they even going to make it through the first year?
Yeah.
When you start, and I was wondering if that's one of the problems with the second round too. Was, you know, like the one problem, if the rumor got around about the one manager that complained about the one girl, you know, if that got around, you know, if some of them were literally like, my boss doesn't want me doing this, I better not do it, until they knew the upper level management was really behind it. And they were going to protect the people, right?
Yeah.
So, and how do you get enough people to mentor?
To do the mentoring, or to
do the mentoring. That can be a big problem with a mentoring problem. Is to get people who are willing to give up their time.
Yeah, you could do like rewards or compensation for, you know, being involved. You say, oh, well, you'll get a $50 bonus or a gift card or whatever for
which they did in this one.
You know. Yeah,
they did do that.
That's why I was using that example. It's just, I would be all on board. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll dedicate my time if I'm getting a free gift card or
these some sort of motivation. The original, 30-something that volunteered, though, they weren't expecting anything. Getting something was kind of later on, so it was kind of, you know.
Yeah, that's nice. And it could also show people in the future, oh, yeah, you'll get that if you volunteer to mentor.
I thought it was interesting, too, that there was, when they came out with the committee, there were people who had already gone outside the organization to do mentoring with the women's program. So it goes to show that even if your company doesn't have one, if you look for one, which the class Christie, almost everything, every chapter, that's one of the things they emphasize. Look for a mentor and look for more than one. You know, like if you see one person that's good at management, you talk to them, and maybe somebody else who's good with people. Yeah. Because they're a people person, you talk to them and learn from them how to be a people person. Don't limit yourself to just one mentor.
Yeah, I've appreciated that class. It like tells me all the different areas you like where you can look for a mentor, and I'm like, oh,
yes,
wouldn't have thought of that, but okay. But yeah,
so.
I think you got to inspire people to want to be mentors too. I mean, just they have to be inspired to do it. It's not something you can like force, but if they can feel like they can make a real difference, and you know, if they're committed to the company, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Last thing would be, have any of y'all had positive experiences when mentoring? I think Christie's mentioned it a little bit.
When being a mentor?
Or either way, you can be on either side.
Yeah, so in this major, for example, I really didn't know what direction I wanted to go into, and luckily we have a really great faculty as, you know, in charge of our major. So my mentor, my director, I guess, is one guy, but my mentor is kind of like the second chairman or whatever for our major, because he's the one that runs interference, and he, you know, looks up internships. He tells you which paths would be better to go into, because under the umbrella of public health, there's environmental health, occupational safety and health, occupational therapy, physical therapy. Like there's a huge umbrella, and so he helped me figure out what's the best
fit for you.
Yeah, and so based on my personality, my grades, things like that, what classes I liked better than others, and so now I have a little bit clearer of a goal of where I want to be in my future, and so that's helped me a
What's
ton.
This guy's name? Can I talk to him?
Yeah, his name is Merle Benedict. So he's in the health sciences department.
Who is it?
His name is Merle Benedict.
Benedict.
Yeah, and he is under mostly occupational safety and health, environmental health, and like industrial hygiene, but he's under the umbrella of health science, and so he's really helped me a lot. And he's a younger guy. He has his doctorate. I mean, he's a very intelligent, very personable guy. So I really like working with him.
Yeah. So that's in a formal sort of setting, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can basically, like, his office is on campus, and I just go knock on his door anytime I have a question, and so it's both formal and informal. He's not necessarily assigned to me personally,
you, but he lets everybody know he's there for them.
That he's there, and when you can meet up with him, and he does email, text, phone call. You can show up at his office and talk with him, and he sits down with you and opens up your degree audit and just goes through with you and decides.
I'm like Christy, though. I think a lot of times I've always found that a lot of your best mentors are ones that you don't realize they're mentoring.
Yeah, exactly.
They're kind of just your friend, and they're kind of hinting and pointing you in directions sometimes to try to help you. I thought it was interesting that they said that mentoring, the one thing is they were not to solve their problems, they were to be a sounding board and listen, you know. And like you were saying, he just tried to point you in some directions based on your personality and stuff. So, which means he took the time to get to know you. Yeah. So, okay. Okay, I think that covers that point. I was telling Christy, you weren't there. I was telling Scott earlier. My writing assignment this week is, and I'm supposed to ask you guys just for a little bit of some ideas. I'm supposed to state my personal goals and where I want to be in 10 years. I told him I was going to probably be on Social Security, right? If I haven't gotten Parkinson's and drooling by then. So I was interested. I was going to ask you, Scott, you said you're going to be a physical therapist?
I'm going into occupational safety and health.
Occupational safety. Okay. How about you, Christy? You just said administrative. Have you narrowed that down any?
You know, they keep asking that in my classes, and
you sound like me.
I'm not sure yet. You know, I know I'd like to work in a smaller practice eventually, but I don't know like exactly which field. I'm kind of trying to find an internship and see where that takes me and see if I like that, and then maybe let that direct me a little bit. But I'm having trouble finding an internship.
I need to have an internship by April, so I need to start looking for one.
I can't find any here. I keep getting passed around in the stupid military system. They just, we don't know, try this person. Oh, we don't know, try this person.
Yeah, and I'm out here in Florida. I'm wondering where I'm going to go to. I understand your pain. I may have to go outside of my neighborhood and go to like Orlando or Tampa and be like 2 hours away from home for a while I do my internship. Unfortunately,
I'm thinking
it could be worse, I guess.
Yeah. My goal would be if I could get the clinic at Disney to let me do my internship there. Would be wonderful.
Oh, awesome.
But I don't know I know that they do internships at Disney, but they're usually business related. And I've wondered if I can talk them into letting me.
You might be surprised.
Because they do have a clinic, a small one, for the employees. And when they have accidents, what?
I said I've been there before to their first aid clinic. You know, there's got to be something there. They've been very
There has
helpful.
to be somebody who does the paperwork, right? You know that, and you know that there's safety incidents that happen at Disney that have to be written up and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a safety department, and they have a. Yeah, I'm sure they've got something like that.
Yeah, I thought of that, and I wouldn't mind like registration records in a hospital. Because I've thought about going back to school and taking some of my computer knowledge and going into informatics. But I'm wondering if I need a whole nother degree since I don't have that much in the way of computer science formal education. You know, I watched the military as it transitioned from paper to electronic. Yeah. So I have an informal education in the system. I went to school hard knocks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we learned computers, what they did is they dropped the Z100 computer box off and then another box with the books, and you sat down and you learned how to do it yourself.
Yeah, holy cow.
Sometimes that's the best way, though.
Yeah. I've got to run, but
I was going to say, I think that finishes.
I sent you that. It's just simple instructions. I don't know if you got it, but I emailed you just a Google or.
I was going to say, I think we're pretty much done too anyway, so.
Awesome.
We'll see you guys on Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday. Let's just, she's going to create a Google Doc. If not, if you can't get it, just email me.
And let you know that I'm having problems.
And I can throw one together. It's pretty simple though.
So far it hasn't come in. Because you sent it to, which account did you send it to?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it. I think it was just your
Google account?
Yeah, I think it was just Valor Jean Google.
Okay. There it is. I got it.
Okay, so for next Tuesday, you said we wanted to come up with problems, or
so just at least just in your head.
Well, we have the three problems. Yeah, kind of like I guess a little bit why we're doing the areas we're doing.
Okay.
And maybe start thinking about your solutions because you probably need to have those written up by the end of the week. So
yeah. How many problems for each and solutions for each? I can't remember. Is it 3 and then 4?
I think it's yeah. We had to come up with 3 overall problems, right? And then
our individual things.
And then 4 solutions for each one, right? Isn't that what we did last time?
Yeah. I'm trying to just remember. So in each of our individual topics, we find 3 problems. So
yeah. So
9 problems.
Wait, within each topic, we need 3 problems? I thought it was 1 problem per.
Yeah, it was 1 problem.
That's what I'm asking. I can't remember.
I think we come up with 3 areas, which we've done: safety, higher recruiting, career development, basically, right? And then under each of those problems or in those areas, we come up with 4 solutions, isn't it?
That's what I understood.
Okay, yeah, I was just trying to make sure. I just want to make sure I wasn't getting it wrong. Okay, cool.
And you know, we can always review it again too. So
yeah, so she's going to create a Google Doc. So just go in there and throw in your problem that you come up with by Tuesday, and if you want, just add solutions to it. So. Wouldn't
our opening statement be similar anyway?
Yeah, no, it would be almost exactly the same.
Okay.
Minus the topics would be different.
Yeah.
So you're doing safety.
Yep.
Allergene, and then Christy, you said career development?
Yeah. Recruiting and hiring.
Oh, I said career development and training.
Yeah.
Okay. 3
issues or problems relating to recruiting, hiring, career development, training, motivation, and safety. Write a detailed description of the 3 problems. And then for each of the 3 problems, you just list 4 possible solutions.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right. So if on the Google Doc, once you get it up and running, just write our names and then what people are doing.
Okay. Yep. Kind of like what we did last time.
Yeah. So I'll just put it over in the chat. See.
It's like I have to keep reminding myself that one of my instructors is calling me at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
We get 5. If we talk to him for 5 minutes, we can get 5 extra credits.
Yeah, nice.
Considering I have a D in the course, take whatever I can get. Pointers for next semester, I figure. So, run, Skylar. I need to run to the doctor too.
Perfect.
So,
Christy, what are you doing again? Sorry.
Recruiting and hiring.
Recruiting.
Yeah, I've jotted
Awesome.
them down on a piece of paper too.
Perfect. All right. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Okay. Be careful.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.